What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. And I hope you're having a wonderful start to your 2025 year, getting ready to watch some college football playoffs. In fact, I may have to speed run this video a little bit because the first one got messed up because of my French Bulldogs. So we're going to go over this list as the most complimented fragrances of my personal collection in 2024. Of course, I wanted to wait the entire year before I did the video, so either I'm late to the party or maybe I'm just in time. So we'll go through it from house to house. Guys, there's so much I could have chose from Boadicea the Victorious, but I really had to go with the ones that got the most genuine compliments, and that's probably true for any house here. But this is a newer fragrance for me, personally anyway. It is Night of Love from Boadicea. What is there to say? Juniper, pink pepper, cardamom, cashmere wood, leather tobacco, and I believe it's some oak moss and some other notes in the base, amber, and it's just absolutely gorgeous, very compliment forward. One of those fragrance DNAs, again, I've said it before in the individual review, but it is unique. And it's also one of those things that is still pleasing and mass appealing to where people are maybe a little bit new to niche perfumery or high-end perfumery in general. They're not going to be, put off by something like that. But for the few times that I've worn it, which I think has only been like 2 or 3, every single time I've gotten genuine compliments on Night of Love. Definitely one of my favorite fragrances from the house, and it is certainly geared, much like Aqua Sapphire and Blue Sapphire here. The DNA is definitely geared more towards compliments, so not really surprising overall. Now, you guys have heard me talk about Aqua Sapphire before. Unbelievable projection and longevity. Some might say even too much. For me, there's no such thing. But Aqua Sapphire, guys, it's hard to make blue fragrances extremely unique because everything in that category shares some very common fragrance notes. This, for me, the rum, the Davana, the seaweed, cypriol, it's got some ingredients in there that you don't necessarily find in a lot of other blue fragrances. And it also has some that are very familiar. It's got pineapple in there as well. So just an overall, just a huge hit for me. And a lot of people really seem to gravitate towards that fragrance. I get a ton of compliments on it. But again, with the DNA of Aqua and Blue Sapphire, shouldn't really be a surprise to a lot of people because there's a ton of the Boadiceas in my collection. They all get compliments, but these are definitely seemingly the most frequent and the most genuine of them. Now, Blue Sapphire, again, not as much of a blue fragrance as Aqua Sapphire. There's not a whole lot marine about it, even though it does have those kind of sweet lemon, orange, fruity notes in the top. For me, what really sets this fragrance apart, even though it does have a really nice opening with the rose and the kind of candied lemon orange notes, what really sets it apart for me is the oud and patchouli dry down. It's absolutely gorgeous. Again, most like a lot of other Boadiceas, great development and longevity as well. From the house of Xerjoff, they get a lot of compliments. Like 40 Knots gets a good amount of compliments. You guys already know that. Alexandria 2, Luxor, Ether, Hollyseum. I only have 6 right now, I think, from the house of Xerjoff. But the one that really does get the most frequent and the most genuine compliments is Tony Iommi Monkey Special. And if you smell the fragrance, it's easy to tell why. Passion fruit, rum, musk, woods, caramel. It's just a very sweet fragrance. Probably one of the sweetest fragrances in my collection. So if those are a little bit off-putting to you, that might be worth getting a sample of if you're a little bit sensitive to sweet fragrances. But you want to talk about what a fragrance does on skin after about 30 minutes to an hour. Just beautiful stuff, kind of a tropical smell again with the passion fruit and the rum. Just really, in my opinion, just one of the best fragrances from the entire house of Xerjoff. So, Terroni from Orto Parisi, a little bit on a different type of category. It's not one of those fragrances where you would expect a ton of compliments, but it is very unique as well. So that might have a lot to do with it, but you get a really nice, ashy, woody, earthy, outdoor note. Some bitter raspberry, just very well blended, this fragrance. Terroni from Orto Parisi is unique, but it's not off-putting in any single way, even though it is one of the fragrances that, to me, stand out as more of a masculine fragrance. Just unbelievably good stuff. So, 3 from Bond number 9, and this was a really hard list because I get tons of compliments on my Bond number 9s. They all last very long. And I've been getting more into the Dubai series, and it was hard to leave a couple out. Like Signature Scent gets a ton of compliments. Scent of Peace gets a ton of compliments. Coney Island, ton of compliments. New Harlem, again, there's just so many. But these definitely are the most frequent and the most genuine. So Bond number 9 Dubai Gold. I know a couple of my subscribers have purchased this because of my recommendations and they've been very happy with it. It's just a really, really good fragrance, guys. It's heavy, so it's not going to be for everybody. A lot of musk, patchouli, woods, very heavy base notes, but it's also got a nice, sweet, kind of spicy, floral, boozy opening note. They say it has raspberry jam in there, even though it's not listed in the ingredients. If you watch the video on Bond number 9's website, it does list raspberry jam in there, but really it's the saffron, the brandy accord in there. It's more than the sum of its parts. This fragrance, it's hard to really just describe until you smell it. But it's everything I want in a luxurious fragrance. Very unique, but also mass appealing at the same time. Tons of compliments on that. A lot of people wanting to know what it is and where they can purchase it. And the same goes for these other three, guys. Dubai Indigo. Again, blue fragrance, so the DNA you would probably think kind of like Riverside Drive lends itself to compliments, which it does. But this is a very unique blue fragrance. Peach and lychee fruit, so it's not the typical orange, lemon, pineapple. You can kind of get all those and whatever blue fragrance, Chanel blue. You even see it in Octanez and Aqua Sapphire. So this is a little bit more of an exotic blue fragrance, I would say. But what sets this apart for me is the florals and the mid notes, and then of course you have agar wood, white musk, and oak moss in the base, so it kind of leans a little bit more masculine in my opinion. Really love this. Nuclear projection and longevity for me on my skin. Just absolutely gorgeous stuff. So Riverside Drive, this is a lighter fragrance, but it's heavy, lasts a long time. It's got some strong base notes of patchouli and oak moss. What really sets this apart for me is the pineapple, rose, and lily of the valley in the opening, and you get that slight hint of fresh herbal green basil, which is nice because it's not overpowering, but it does add a lot to the fragrance. And this has always been kind of like my signature scent ever since I started collecting Bond. I have the older bottle that's just below halfway. Pineapple note is a little bit better on the newer one. Maybe that's just because the older one is 20 years old and that started to fade a little bit. But the 20-year-old one is still perfect in my opinion. It just takes about 5 minutes on skin for you to kind of get back to that original Riverside Drive that I remembered when the bottle was new itself. So really, really good fragrance DNA, very masculine, but also extremely appealing to women. I remember when I first had my older bottle when I was with my ex-girlfriend, this was like 15 years ago. Anytime we would ever go on a date, despite all the other Bond number 9s and Creed fragrances and other stuff like that I owned, she would always request that I wore Riverside Drive. So wonderful fragrance. Now, from the house of Argos, a newer release, this is Sacred Flame. Spicy, resiny, full-bodied, mysterious, sweet. It's got a little bit of sweet fruity notes in there. It almost kind of reminds me a little bit of like a orange creamsicle and spiced chai tea. But it's got a lot more going for it than that. Just very resiny, perfect for fall and winter time. And again, a little bit like Night of Love, it's a newer fragrance for me. But the couple times that I've worn Sacred Flame, someone always says something to me. In fact, one compliment was like, that's a really good fragrance, but you should spray less of it next time because it is a very, very heavy fragrance. And that came from one of my family members, by the way, because they love the smell of the fragrance, but like, man, that's really strong. And I didn't spray that much of it, but the sillage and the cloud and the longevity on skin that this leaves, it is a very, very powerful fragrance. And the ingredients, when you read them, would lend itself to that. So that's not much of a surprise, but really good stuff. Now, one of my favorite from the house is also one of my most complimented, which is kind of the opposite of the next one. We'll get into that. But Fall of Phaeton, bright, spicy. It's got like lemon, ginger in the top notes, I believe. So it's very bright, kind of happy, invigorating fragrance. And you got the agar wood, leather, musk, vanilla, tonka bean. There's a ton of notes in here, but it's just very well-rounded, extremely well-structured. The development is amazing. I mean, when you spray this on, I think I'm not the only one that's realized this, but when you spray this on, you really do get 3 completely different fragrances between the opening, the middle, and the base notes. So it's definitely one of the more developmental fragrances in my entire collection. And I actually had a friend come over who, last time he bought Sweetie Oud in Wall Street when he smelled all my fragrances. We went through a bunch of different ones again, and Fall of Phaeton really caught his attention, and he ended up buying this, and I think another one from the House of Argos as well. So Argos, if you're watching, I am selling bottles. without you guys even telling me to, or any discount code for your website or anything. Just simply from sharing videos and also having family members and friends come over to my house and actually try the fragrances themselves. Sold quite a few Argos bottles that way. So one that really took me by surprise in terms of most complimented is Love Triumphs Over War, because for me personally, I do enjoy the fragrance, but it's not really even in my top 5 at the house because I don't really gravitate towards these kind of fragrances anymore. Very fruity, floral with some masculine base notes. It's a really nice fragrance, guys, but for me, the floral notes not really were off-putting, but I wasn't expecting to get as many compliments as I did on Love Triumphs Over War, but it is one of those fragrances to where it continues to grow on me. So, oh, we got a guest here. Come here, Carla. Come here. You guys are about to see a special guest. What's up, fat boy? This is my French bulldog, Cairo, and he's a little pest, but he's a good boy. Yeah, you are a good boy. All right, we're gonna put you down and you're gonna let me do the video, okay? Alrighty. So that was Love Triumphs Over War. Extremely long-lasting fragrance as well, especially for that category. So from the House of Unique Luxury, this is Beverly Hills exclusive. Anyone who ever seen my channel, they know how much I love this fragrance. It's one of my top fragrances in my entire collection. And the compliments reflect that, guys. It's one of those fragrances, there's a lot of ambergris, tobacco, green notes, honey. I mean, it is extremely highly complimented, while also being one of my personal favorites from the house. And I know a lot of other people that tried it who feel that way. It's very well structured and well-rounded. There's not any one note that really jumps out at you, but it's just very well blended. And I don't think this fragrance would be the same without the ambergris in there, because it does add a lot of depth and longevity as well. So every time I smell this fragrance, Zenji is honey, wine, resins, a little bit of spices in there. This is a very proper smelling fragrance. Definitely more for like dressing up or special occasions, in my opinion. The gold bottle would lend itself to that as well. But Zenji, I can guarantee that if you try that, you're going to get a ton of compliments. It is a DNA, of course, that sort of lends itself to that anyway, but it is a very special fragrance in my opinion. Great longevity and projection on it as well, and you expect that from all of Unique Luxury's fragrances, because they are 35% oil concentration and they do use a lot of heavy base notes in there. So last but definitely not least, the House of Amouage. Man, now I left out Raja Parfums because I get a lot of compliments on Raja, but I haven't had anybody ask other than Sweetie Oud, which was one of my friends who ended up buying that, about their fragrances. But I only have 3, maybe 4. I think I only have 3, but I will be ordering some more from Raja, probably Diaghilev, maybe Amber Oud later this year. So we'll just have to get into those a little bit more. But Sweetie Oud, I would say, of the 3 that I own, probably gets the most compliments, even over Oceania and the regular Raja Oud. So from the House of Amouage, Jubilation 40 Extrait, tons of compliments on this. I mean, this stuff, I hate getting into specifics, but for me and my skin, how I spray it and in my environment and the amount that I spray, I mean, this stuff lasts over 16 hours. And I'm not talking about you can smell it on your skin for 16 hours. This stuff projects for over 16 hours. I remember spraying this on at about 5 a.m. before a work trip. I ended up eating dinner about 7:30 or 8 p.m. that evening. And I remember the waitress complimenting on me what the fragrance was, asking me, what smells so good. And I was telling her I was surprised she could smell it because I sprayed it on at 5:30 a.m. So personally, I was nose deaf to it. I couldn't smell it projecting, even though I could smell it on skin close up. But she could smell it right when she walked up to the table. So great longevity and projection on that one. Very heavy and dense base notes, very resinous fragrance. It's got oud, ambergris, frankincense, all the other resins that you would expect from Middle Eastern fragrances, especially like Amouage. Beautiful stuff there. So King Blue, controversial fragrance, but not for me at all. 35% oil concentration, beautiful opening with the black currant, the mandarin, the pink pepper, and a very beautiful oud note, at least for my nose. Similar to the base of Silver Oud with that Silver Oud and Oud Assam type of note to it, but a little bit lighter. for me, a more wearable version of Silver Oud if you're trying to get into those types of fragrances. But King Blue is absolutely incredible. Certainly for me, backup bottle worthy along with Silver Oud and quite a few of the other fragrances here. But man, Silver Oud, maybe less expecting to get the most compliments on this than King Blue. King Blue is a little bit more lending itself to compliments with that fruity, kind of semi-sweet opening, where Silver Oud is a lot more in-your-face, woods, oud, masculine type of fragrance. And one of my most genuinely complimented fragrances in my entire collection. I've had a couple people ask what this is, where do you buy it, who makes it, how much does it cost? And that's a little bit surprising because the DNA, unlike a lot of these other fragrances that go into like the blue category, or even like Zenji and Unique and Luxury, I wouldn't really think that the DNA of Silver Oud is something that would lend itself to a lot of compliments, but clearly it's something that smells much better in the air than it does out of the bottle, especially when you spray it on skin. And women, maybe just because it's such a masculine fragrance, they really seem to gravitate towards when the fragrance is on me. So again, maybe not the most expected, kind of like Love Triumphs Over War, but certainly one of the most genuinely complimented fragrances in my entire collection. So hope you guys enjoyed the list. This, of course, is my collection. I'm not saying that if you guys buy these fragrances, it's going to go as well on your skin and you're going to get the same compliments that I will. So it'd be interesting to see what some of your most complimented fragrances are in your collection. I really tried to narrow the list down. When I first thought of the video, there's so much stuff on my head. I was about to bring about 25 fragrances out here, and I really had to do a good job of narrowing it down and kind of going with not only what got frequent compliments, but what got the most genuine compliments. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you're going to be watching some college football playoffs later on today and enjoying the new year. I certainly will be with a cigar, some bourbon, and some scotch. So enjoy the day. Enjoy the rest of the time off if you're off for the rest of this week. And hopefully I'll be seeing you guys soon for a new video. I plan on doing a couple new things for the channel. Maybe getting into like most complimented of different categories of fragrances. So like most complimented blue fragrances, most complimented green fragrances. There's just a ton of categories and a ton of ideas that I'm kind of spinning around in my head. So again, hope you guys have a wonderful day. Enjoy it, and I'll be seeing y'all soon. Bye.